the question.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Sir, since about a few years back, I was also thought of investing in mutual funds and shares and other things. Initially, I didn't know whom to contact and all these things. So what I started doing is watching the TV between 2:30 to 3:30, CNBC and all this share whatever the information they gave, and next day paper also I used to go through that. So whichever is doing better, whichever is not doing better, okay, something is do invest little bit, not huge amount. So like that I started doing for almost 4-5 years, and luckily I had a good profit in that. So then for some reason I have to sell everything for purchasing a real estate thing, and finally I stopped it. Finally I met some financial advisor, because one of my friend, they suggested me saying that go and meet so and so. So he came and he showed his ID card saying that he is a registered financial advisor in India, in Bangalore particularly. So finally he said, okay, you start investing in mutual funds. So I again started with small amount. After about 3 years, 4 years, whatever the investment I had, luckily, I mean bad luck is my investment profit is very low. Not even the investment amount. For example, if I invested a total 4 lakhs, at the end of 4 years, my value of at that particular time was 2 lakhs. Then I asked him, what is this? Where is my investment? At least day by day, it has to go up, but it is coming down. Not even the basic amount. Then, I had a little bit, maybe they are doing something nonsense what with my money. Then I said, stop all the things. I stopped everything. With loss, I came out. And then when I was just reading the paper and this online thing, I saw this script box. They are all mutual investment advisors. So then I had a talk with them. Then they said, if I am investing 1,000 rupees every month, total 1,000 rupees they are going to invest in the mutual funds, and they'll give statements every mail or everything I'm getting. But total amount they are investing, they are not taking any commission, any charges for us. But then I asked, as you said, see, you are investing whole amount, but from where you are going to get the profit or benefit without charging any money from my side? Then they said, sir, we don't charge for the customers. So from the mutual investments where we are investing, so they'll give whatever the profit they get, some amount they'll share to us. So that's why we are investing. And luckily, for the past, and again, 4-5 years, I'm investing in that script box. They are given me around 20-22% profit. So I'm happy with that. So only thing, not following the financial advisors, whatever they are saying, doing our own research for a little bit. I'm not an expert in that, but little bit here and there, and then investing. I think that is a better idea.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Bhaskar. I think your experience reveals a few things, right? So few interesting points. So one is that the frustrating experience that you had with the other RIA, and I would go beyond frustrate, because I mean, this was a horrible experience. You basically put in money, it turned into half of what it was, right? And you had no idea what was going on or anything. That shows you what happens if you don't sort of have the data to monitor things, right? And then you switch to Scriptbox and it gave you statements and reports. So your information capture became better, right? And also the fund performance went up also, like the investment performance was good, right? So a couple of things here to take away. So one is maybe that advisor that, I'm not saying this is the case, right? But maybe the advisor where your investment performance went down, right? It could also have been the market in general. I'm not saying it was, because maybe it wasn't at the COVID pandemic or whatever, but the markets can move, right? And 4-2 is a very sharp drop, but it can happen, right? So the power of doing what I'm saying in the presentation is that you will be able to check whether these numbers make sense or not, right? So when you are investing even in Scriptbox, because Scriptbox gave you a 22% return and all these things, you should actually ask them, quantify the fees that you're earning from me. I want to know how much you're earning from me, right? Then also that return, you should look, and see what the indices did over that period also, because the markets as a whole have done very well, right? So while that number is very good, on an absolute basis, are you getting left behind? What are they invested in? These are questions that you can answer with more confidence, and get even more confidence, or maybe get a little bit circumspect depending on what the answers are, right? But I like the fact that you went from an advisor that was giving you no information and went to then a company that's giving you better information. That is a win, a big win, right? And you can ask for even more information, right?
Lakshmi here.
Yes.
Yeah, the same thing what he has experienced, no, the same thing I have experienced. These financial advisor, once they get to know we are doctors, the way they come and they approach us and make us invest and give a rosy pictures that this is the returns, that is the returns. And we don't have a knowledge to assist first the financial advisor. We should also have, see, when they want to come to doctors, they Google a lot and know which doctor is of what qualification, from where all is degrees and experience and all, and they enter. Right.
Yeah.
In the same way, we should also know, are they really registered and how much experience do they have? And should we trust them? Is it wise enough to invest with them? Because I have also undergone many losses, like he at least has saved a little bit. Mine was like, they made me to invest recently around 20 lakhs into global innovation fund, where, it was a foreign fund that it could return and all those things. And it's a new fund. Finally, nothing happened. Then I'm seeing my funds there, dropping aggressively from 40 to 50%, 60%. Then finally I called them and I wanted to take it out. Then I did. Then, still they didn't give us a chance for our own understanding and investment in a further field. They started, still they're holding the funds. And when we try to book our mutual funds profit, they ask us to be invested for long term of 5 years, 10 years. It's a huge term, because that that particular fund may not be performing with the same rate of growth. They have some kind of saturation point that we can analyze. When we try to argue, they don't let us. And again, they have made a kind of arrangements. As soon as the funds are redemption is done, immediately they put into arbitrage fund. So we just want to know, like, what is the right way to make investment and where we can handle ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
So
one precise kind of data to give, we can go about.
Sahil, before you answer, I just have one comment to make. Dr. Bhagya, everybody loves your money. And it should not happen. You should be loving your money more than anybody else. And all these investment advisors. Go ahead, Sahil.
Yeah, so it really is upsetting to hear, stories like this, and it's never a nice thing to have experiences like this, and but what I would say is that practical advice going forward of how to avoid situations like this is, so one is realizing that finance has been made to seem very hard and challenging for people to do. And it is very challenging and hard to do, to beat the market, right? That requires a lot of skill. For someone to actually deliver for long periods of time, greater than market returns, is very, very hard. But for someone to match the market is very easy. So you can always just buy what's called an index fund. And an index fund tracks the indices I was talking about before. Okay, so those funds are low cost. They will never beat the market. but they will never miss the market by a wide margin. They'll charge you a small fee, very, very small fee. You'll trail the market by the amount of the fee and maybe a little bit of tracking error on top of that. But you will be assured that you will keep up, right? So my advice for you when using advisors is to use them slowly, right? You can keep the bulk of your money in these index funds and then test these advisors. Give them a little bit of money, see if they do well, see if you like their strategy. Ask them, how are you making this money when they, deliver good returns to you? You can ask questions. What's your strategy? Does their strategy make sense to you? As you get confidence, you can increase the amount you give them, etc. But it's perfectly fine to just put your money in index funds, right? And then the key question you need to ask yourself is, these index funds, even they go up and down, right? But you will be assured you're not being cheated, right? Because they will go up and down with the market. If everyone goes down, you'll go down. If everyone goes up, you'll go up, right? Then you at least know you're not being cheated. And then the question just becomes, how much money can you put away for a long enough time such that you don't care if the market goes down tomorrow or next year or even 2 years later or 3 years later, because the chances that it will be down 7 years later are very, 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 very low, extremely low, right? So that gives you a lot of power. You're not being cheated and you're still earning a good return. So that's a perfectly reasonable way to avoid it. You gradually give them money, bulk of your money sits in an index fund.
Thank you very much. Again,
Hello.
Sahib, you have mentioned a number of Vijay, just a minute. You have mentioned a number of times the index funds are the safe funds. And how do they compare to fixed deposits, the index funds, and what are the returns traditionally we are looking at? How much better?
Sure. So the index funds come in a variety of types because they track different indices, right? So the kind of index fund that I would recommend, generally as a safe place to keep your equity, because you're going to keep up with the market, is a broad index fund. Okay, so something that tracks the Nifty 500 in India, the S&P 500 in the US, whatever your broadest market indices are, you want to track that. For example, don't go and put your money in a Nifty healthcare index fund, because healthcare can move a lot, right? The total market is going to move less, right? So it's that Nifty 500 index fund that is relatively safer, because then I will perform in line with the Nifty 500, right? If everyone does well, I'll do well. If everyone does badly, I'll do badly. But I'll live with that. My return will never be stellar, will never be terrible. And for FDs, so FDs are fixed return instruments. You know the rate of return you're going to get on that instrument. So unless the bank, defaults on the FD, which is very rare, if you're in a reputed bank, you know the rate of return you'll get. So, if HDFC Bank is giving you 7.3% for a 3-year FD, then your rate of return is going to be 7.3%. Doesn't matter if the market's good, market's bad, you will get your 7.3%. So FDs are much safer, than even a index fund for short periods of time. And 3 years is still a short period of time. When you look at 7 years plus, the data strongly suggests that even equity is very safe. The chances that you do not get a better than inflation return in a diversified equity portfolio over 7 years is very, very low. That doesn't mean every stock is going to give you that, but a general one. Yeah.